For Krima Media in Johannesburg, I'm Sane Dlamini. Paula Fernandez joins me to discuss her second biography, The Illusion, an Abused Woman's Story. Welcome, Paula.
Welcome, Sane.
Thanks. For those of you who've never seen the first interview, in your first book, you took us through the abuse relationship you found yourself in, where you also lost your child.
Yes.
And towards the end of the book, you went home because it was too much for you. Tell us about how you felt when your mother said you must go back to this man now when you really didn't want to go back.
Well, I felt devastated. I was afraid. I knew exactly what he was going to do. Obviously, I already told my parents that he had beaten me up, not knowing what else he had been doing to me. So I was very afraid. My dad convinced me not to go, and my mom pushed me to go. So I was in between, and I didn't want to cause friction between the two of them. So I went back.
You went back. And while he came to pick you up with your child, he started where he left off. He didn't.
On the day he picked me up with my child, he told me on the way he was going to punish me for what I did, run away from home. So he was going to kill me and my younger daughter in the same spot where my eldest daughter was killed. And he drove like a maniac. I cried, I begged him. There was just no compromising. So I tried to jump out of the car. He managed to lock the car. So I held on tight to my child, closed my eyes, and I prayed and hoped for the best. When I opened my eyes, I was at home.
And the first chance you had, you went home.
Oh, well, I knew from that drive, I knew that he hadn't changed. So, and he also got the feeling that I wasn't right, so he knew I was going to run away. So the first thing he did was change the tires of my car. And when he went to the market, he showed the condition of the tires to bring me aware that don't run away because this is what's going to happen to you, because the tires are pretty bad. But the minute he went to the market, took R2 to put petrol, didn't put water in the carburetor, didn't think about things like that, packed my child's clothes, everything of my child in the car, and I just took my Kenwood and the clothes that I was wearing, and off I went, which I faced a lot of obstacles because I had no water in the carburetor, so I had to stop, cool off the car. I found roadworks to help me with water, and it took me 4 hours drive to get to Joburg, but God was watching over me, and I got there
and
safe.
You were home safe. And you started working at the post office, and you were a bit happy. Can you tell us exactly what happened when you were home?
Yes, because my mom was working at the post office. So I said to my mom, look, if you can find me a job there, I'll gladly take it. I will do anything just to earn an income because I don't want to be a burden. So she got me a job at the post office. I worked there for 3 years, and then I moved to banking.
And while you were working at the post office, you got sick, and you found out you were pregnant, but then your mom forced you to terminate.
Oh, yes.
How did that make you feel?
My dad was devastated when he found I was pregnant, and he kept telling my mother, you see, if you didn't make her go, this wouldn't happen. Now she wouldn't have been pregnant. Now she's got another problem in her hands. And my mother said, oh no, she must just abort. So I said, abort? What do you mean abort? What must I do to abort? Says, no, you go see a doctor. She made me go see my house doctor. I was so embarrassed. And I thought it was just like any other thing. I said, look, I'm pregnant, and this is the situation. Can you help me to abort? She says, what? I'll lose my license. I can't do that. So I said, oh, well, my mom sent me here, you know. I was so embarrassed. And then she was forcing me to go all over the show, to the chemist to see if they could give me something. It, it was highly embarrassed. And then my granny came with a solution. She found an ex-nurse that knew of somebody in Durban that did that for me, and my mother actually pressured. My dad says, you don't have to. You
But
must
then
make the
eventually
decision. I said, how can I make the decision? One is saying I must abort. You saying it's my decision. I want to have the baby. At the same time, I don't want another child from that monster. I don't know what to do. So he actually said, do whatever your heart tells you to do. I said, my heart is telling me a lot what to do. But Mom doesn't. She tells me to take hot baths every day, and she really wants me to get rid of the baby. So I did.
Yeah, and then your brother got married. You had to go with him on his honeymoon. He insisted you must come with him. And then while you were there, you met your brother that you've always loved.
Yes.
But then you kept on writing letters to each other until he said everything must end because he was a married man. How did that make you feel?
It devastated me. I was highly depressed because it was one thing in Portugal, not that he did anything that he wasn't supposed to do to a sister. No. A real gentleman. But I already caught on in Portugal that we were very different, you know, in thoughts. He didn't want to have children, and I wanted children. And what upset me is that he told me he loved me, and then the next letter he says, no, this will be the last letter because my wife is suspecting something, which I think it was just an excuse.
And while you were working now, you also found this other guy, Nano, who was from East Africa. You took a chance with this guy, but when you have told yourself that you wanted no man in your life except your brother and your father, was it easy for you to commit again because you ended up getting married? Yeah,
it was. I was already divorced for 4 years, and this guy wouldn't leave me alone, and very persistent. So anyway, I ended up having coffee with him, and he spoke most of the time. He told me his story, being a refugee and the conditions that he lived in, and me with a soft heart, I felt for it. And 3 months later, he asked me if I married him, if I would accept his mother to live with me, and I said, not a problem. I'm easygoing with people. I'm friendly with everybody, so I can't see not being friendly with your mother, which was not the case. Yeah, so you married this guy. His mother came to South Africa, and then she was not a nice person. You ended up in a court battle with him over your children now, but you won the court battle. Yes. How did that make you feel? Now, were you blaming yourself about committing to him? No, not really. Not really. I just felt degrading because he had chosen a mother over a wife. He has a sexy. I'm not. At that time, I was a very attractive, sexy girl, and here his mother was not a looking woman at all. And I wished he had left me for another woman. Then not his mother. His mother. It's very degrading for a woman, you know, for a wife, to choose a mother over the wife that I actually thought at first there was something wrong with me. I saw psychologists, and they said, no, don't get that into your head. It's nothing wrong with you. It's mothers that are very obsessed over their child, especially when they have one. They get very obsessed, and that's theirs. And unfortunately, you got one of those mothers that are too attached to a son. But eventually, you are married now. You are happily married to another guy. And can you share with the women who will maybe watching this interview as to give them hope from your story that there are men out there who are good? you know, this husband is the best thing in my life, the best thing. I just wish I had met him the first time. I actually was very unaware, very uneasy with him. This was also 4 years after being divorced that I met him. And I tell women, no, there's lots of good men out there. Don't choose them. Don't go looking for them. They'll come to you. And inside, people get premonitions. You'll feel if he's the right man or not. I didn't at first, because my story is very different. I was forced into marry the first time. The second time was my choice, but due to my soft heart, I didn't make the bad choice. The only bad choice is getting the mother to live with me. That, I believe, destroyed our marriage completely. I introduced this third husband to Pedro, my younger brother, and he even told me, he's a fantastic guy, you mustn't be afraid. And still today, he's the best thing in my life.
But now you were also disappointed because you also found out when you went back to Portugal that your mother had a big secret. Can you tell us about that secret?
That's why I went to Portugal, because right from the beginning of the mirror breaks, my father was trying to tell me something. That's why he bought that painting with the gypsy and blah, blah, blah. And that always stayed in my mind. And when he told my second husband in court, my second husband said, oh, she's adopted and whatnot. So I burst out crying, and I went that night and I told my dad, you know what? Nuno said that I'm adopted. You told him that I'm adopted, that my mother's a gypsy, and my father just burst out crying. So my sister did something that brought that up, which that was the end of me. And I went to my doctor because I actually got sick, and my doctor says, Paula, go to Portugal. Haven't you got anybody in Portugal that can tell you the truth? So I said, I've got one person, but she's 93. In fact, she was 95. But when I went and I spoke to her, she knew everything. Everything.
That the mother you know all along was not yours.
Yes, she actually said to me, I told your mother to tell you the truth when you were old enough. I said it would have been much better if they were honest with me. Not at the time when I was 10, because that just, I was too young. That confused me totally. And the way he was saying, my father does not know how to approach somebody to say a drastic thing. You know, either the same thing to my eldest brother.
So do you think the way your mother was treating you was because you were not her biological
Yes,
daughter?
which I forgive her. I forgive her because, you know what, I don't know what I would have done in her situation. I love my mother dearly. To me, she's still my mother. Now I understand completely why she was so distant away from me. But I have to forgive her because I don't know what I would have done. I almost probably would have divorced. You know, my dad, if I was my mother, you know, having to take in a child that it's not hers, it's very difficult. Only at the time when it happens, you know what to do. So I felt sorry for her too. I felt very sorry for her. And I forgive her. I've never once held anything against her the minute I was told the truth.
Thank you, Paula, for relaying your story to us, and I hope you are happy in life as it goes.
Yes, as you can see, I am happy. I'm in a good place. My illness, I'm in remission. So I'm feeling good. I really am feeling great.
That was Paula Fernandez speaking to Crema Media's Polity about her story, her second book, The Illusion, the story of an abused woman.